the shift that never ended. The town of Gray Ridge was built on coal. For generations, its veins of black gold had sustained the families who lived there. But the mine was old now, its walls cracked and unstable, and everyone knew that it was just a matter of time before it gave way. Still, when the alarm sounded on the night shift, no one could have predicted the horror that would unfold. It was a Tuesday, late in November, when the incident occurred. The air was biting cold, and a heavy mist clung to the mountain like a shroud. Beneath the earth, deep in the belly of Gray Ridge Mine, 20 men were working the night shift. Among them was Tom Bradley, a seasoned miner with over 2 decades of experience. He had been down every shaft, knew every twist and turn of the tunnels like the back of his hand. Tom was supervising a crew tasked with extracting coal from one of the older, more dangerous seams. "Watch the ceiling," Tom called out to his team, his voice echoing through the dark, narrow tunnel. "She's got a bad history, this one. Any signs of shifting, you get out fast." The men nodded, but they were tired, focused on the work ahead. They worked in silence, the only sound the rhythmic clink of pickaxes and the low rumble of machinery. The air was thick with coal dust, making it difficult to breathe, but they had grown used to it over the years. To them, this was just another night in the mine. But this night was different. As they dug deeper, Tom noticed a strange creaking sound above them. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it set his nerves on edge. He halted the men, signaling them to stop. "Everyone, hold up," he ordered, his eyes scanning the rocky ceiling. "Did you hear that?" The men paused, listening intently. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, suddenly, the ground beneath their feet trembled. "Get back!" Tom shouted, but it was too late. With a deafening roar, the tunnel's ceiling gave way. Tons of rock and earth crashed down, swallowing the men in an instant. The force of the collapse sent a shockwave through the entire mine, knocking out the lights and plunging the underground labyrinth into darkness. Tom was thrown against the wall by the impact, his helmet cracking as it hit the stone. Dazed, he struggled to his feet, his ears ringing. Around him, the tunnel was a chaotic mess of debris and dust. He could hear the groans and cries of the trapped men, but he couldn't see a thing. "Tom! Over here!" It was Jim Hargrove, one of the younger miners. His voice was strained, muffled by the rubble. "I'm stuck, can't move." Tom stumbled toward the sound, feeling his way through the dark. He found Jim pinned under a massive boulder, his legs trapped. Tom tried to lift the rock, but it was too heavy. "Hold on, Jim," he panted. "I'll get help." But as Tom turned to go, he felt a sickening shift beneath his feet. The tunnel was collapsing again, slowly this time, the earth groaning as it settled into new positions. He realized with a growing dread that they were running out of time. The oxygen was thinning, and the air was growing colder. Every breath was a struggle. Tom crawled through the debris, calling out to his crew, but the only response was the eerie silence of the mine. He reached for his radio, his hands trembling, and managed to choke out a message to the surface. "This is Bradley, collapse in shaft C, multiple men down, we need rescue, now." Minutes passed like hours as Tom waited in the darkness, the weight of the mountain pressing down on him. He could hear the distant sound of drilling, the rescue team working frantically to reach them, but he knew they might not make it in time. Jim was still alive, but barely. His breathing was shallow, his voice weak. "Tom, I don't think I can hold on much longer." "Stay with me, Jim," Tom urged, his own strength fading. "We're gonna get out of here." But deep down, he knew the truth. The mine had them now, and it wasn't going to let them go. Hours later, the rescue team finally broke through, but they were too late. They found Tom slumped against the tunnel wall, barely conscious, and Jim lying motionless beneath the boulder. The others were gone, buried beneath the rubble. The survivors were pulled to the surface, blinking in the harsh light of dawn. The townspeople had gathered, their faces pale and anxious, but the sight of the stretchers, draped in white sheets, told them everything they needed to know. Grey Ridge Mine was shut down for good after that night. The tragedy shook the town to its core, a grim reminder of the dangers that had always lurked beneath the surface. For those who had worked the mines, it was a haunting memory, one that would stay with them long after the earth had claimed its due. Tom Bradley never returned to the tunnels, his body healed, but his spirit forever scarred by the shift that never ended.